This time on the Dirt Head Shed, it's time to build a custom 4-link airbags and get that Mustang laid out. So we left off on the Mustang II with the rear trunk floor all cut out and the frame kind of started. This week we're going to build the 4-link airbag, shock mounts, fuel cell, get everything in the back of that thing so it's going up and down and driving down the street, because I have to get this thing ready to run down to the duct tape drags in, it's actually less than a week, so I got to get busy. It's Friday in the shop. I've got a full day to work and I've already screwed up like half of it. It's almost noon, so I gotta like kick this thing in high gear. I came out here last night and made some tabs. We've got kind of an idea on how we're gonna do the link setup and how I'm gonna pivot everything. So I'm gonna bust out an hour on the grinder, a little bit of time on the drill press, and then we will get this thing cycling linked, hopefully going up and down tonight. Tomorrow and Sunday, I'm hoping to have bag mounts and shock mounts in this thing, a fuel cell of some sort, and hopefully by the end of the weekend, this thing will be on its own weight. We'll see if we can make it happen. Cut your tabs all as close as you can to each other, then clamp them together to grind them, and make sure you sand them all to the exact same shape. Now I'm going to tack all those tabs together so that I can go and drill them and just drill one hole instead of having to drill 4 separate ones. There we go, 4 identical tabs. The holes should all be in the same spot. They're all the same shape. And now I can start figuring out how to lay all this stuff out. I'm gonna grind these up, drill these holes, and then we'll go over there and fit it all into the car. I never really went over the idea, I guess, on the rear suspension here. We had talked last time about doing forward bars or backward bars or radius arms or whatever. And I think what I've decided that I'm gonna do is a reverse 4-link. So basically I'm gonna mount all of my link bars off of the back of this cross member here, and they're gonna go forward. The lower is gonna mount off the axle over here. The upper will mount off the top of the axle inboard more. So that upper one will be triangulated from this corner over to the axle. The lower one will be straight down the bottom of the frame rail, basically, to the axle there. So that should give us our side-to-side movement, or it'll stop the side-to-side movement. It'll hold the pinion angle, and it will keep the axle forward and backwards from moving around. So it should be a pretty good setup. The bars are going to be nice and long, like 28 inches or so. And I am in the process right now of putting together the tabs and brackets. So the brackets are the ones that I was just building. These are going to be at the frame side. These are going to be on the axle side. The bushings I'm going to use for the whole kit are from Rough Stuff Specialties. And these are just like a universal urethane bushing kit. Comes with an inner sleeve, the outer sleeve, the urethane bushings. And these are 3-inch wide and designed for a 9/16 bolt. So I'm going to mock everything up with bushings in it, and we'll go fit it onto the car and see how it looks. All right, here's that bracket, and the way I had kind of figured this would work would be having it right there on the edge of this tube and kind of working towards getting it all level with this one. This should give us enough room to box this corner in and strengthen all of this. And if all goes well, this part back here will barely be visible from below the bumper, so it doesn't look goofy. That's awesome. Freaking stoked. Alright, I am gonna tack this thing in just to kind of get an idea of what we're working with. But I'm gonna make sure that I tack it in spots that are easy to undo. Because I'm not fully convinced that this is the spot that it's gonna live forever. I think we're in the ballpark though. That looks good. All right, that's in place. Now I can mock up the other side, kind of get it in place, and then we'll start figuring out probably upper link bars first. And there is going to be a bunch of work to square up this rear axle because it's like, I haven't really measured it to get it like centered side to side or front to back or get the pinion angle perfect. So we still have a little bit more work to do on that boring stuff before we get to make fun link mounts and airbag mounts and all that stuff. The next step is definitely taking the time and cutting off these brackets, the old leaf spring perches. I'm gonna get those out of the way, grind all this stuff up super good. We're gonna square up this axle and make this thing to where it's in the exact right spot. Torch time with Dave. Hey everybody. Welcome to torch time. Torch time. Torch time. All right, see if I can cut these off without burning holes in these tiny little axle tubes. Ah, sweet. I spent a bunch of time in here getting the axle square to the chassis, front to back, side to side, all that. And then I cut a couple of pieces of plate that are both 5 inches tall to tack in here. That'll set me about 2 inches, 2 inches off the ground, so, or 2.5 inches off the ground. So this should be a pretty good low cruising ride height, like highway cruising, not worrying about dragging the bumper off. It should be super low. Pinion angle's good. Everything is happy. I don't have too much plunge in the drive shaft, so I'm gonna call that a win. That was a ton of work. It's kind of boring stuff, but getting the axle square so that when I go to make the rest of these tabs and brackets and link bars, I can just drop them right onto the axle and know that everything's in the right spot. So look at that placement. That wheel is like dialed in that wheel well. Not too far back, not too far forward. It looks really good. So I'm digging it. I'm gonna go ahead and keep working and get some more stuff done on here. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be cycling it. It's Saturday morning and I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. I didn't get nearly enough done yesterday, so it's go time. I'm gonna go over here and start making the upper link bars, the triangulated buddies. So I've kind of got a jig or a fixture set up over here on my welding table. I've got my distance between bushing ends here to here, and then I've got my offset, the distance that I need to triangulate it. So it's time to start chopping tubing and fitting it between this bushing and that bushing. Whew, I got a lot to do today. This thing's got to be cycling before like noon. All right, I'm gonna go chop saw some tube, and then we'll bring it over here and we'll start notching it in the Ameribraid. Tube notching time. My shop's a dang mess. I got stuff left over from the Louis Vuitton build. I've got scraps that need to go to the recycle yard. Just kind of got junk everywhere. But I don't have time to mess with it right this second. Oh man, I'm not plugged in. tube. Let's go start fitting this thing up. This should be kind of a good test fit piece. So we can kind of figure fitment going on now in about the right angle. We're getting close there. This is deep enough but in the wrong orientation. I'm gonna go change the die on the end of this thing. This has an 1 3/4 die on it. I don't need to put a 2-inch. So we're close. That's pretty rad with like one little quick sand job on there, and we're like in the ballpark. What's the best thing about all these new coffee mugs? You get to put stickers all over them. This one I got at the SEMA show last year. It was some EV Jeep that was in the Best Top booth. And then this one over here, that one's Team Tank. That's for Frank the Tank. He's one of our buddies that you've seen on Dirt Every Day a bunch of times. He came, he was on the Motorhome Go-Kart, which is one that's got like billions of views. Frank was the one heckling Fred about his engineering. And then I know he was back on one where he like raced his pre-runner F100 like bump side Ford or dent side Ford, I can't remember. And then he raced it against Fred in a Go Westy van. So anyways, go buy coffee mugs so you can have somewhere cool to put your stickers and mix them up. Have like 20 of these in your cupboard. There it is. I've got my tubing notched and fitted to go on those sleeves. I got the scale sanded off the sleeves so they will actually weld pretty good. Let's get this all mocked up and tack it together. Sick. There we have it, an upper link bar. This is going to be a triangulated bar, but I'm running the bushings perpendicular. That way it will pivot properly in the up and down movement. It's a little bit harder on the bushings, trying to control side-to-side movement without the bushing being at that angle. But the up and down movement makes it harder for the bushing to handle the up and down movement when it's at that angle. So there's a bunch of ways to do this job. This is just the way I'm doing it. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Got a little bugger in there, but check that out. Some good penetration. Welding 2-inch 250 wall to 1 3/4 120. You got to try to like focus your heat more on that 250 wall tubing. Let's get this one busted out. Yeah, that one's kind of ugly. That side looks really good. That one has a weird start and stop, like right there and right there. But it's a link bar and it's welded. I'm that much closer to having something that works under the car. I'm making progress. Doing all right today. Yesterday was pretty slow. Today, check this out. I got my upper links done. These are actually gonna live in this orientation on the car. So the triangulated bars basically don't allow side-to-side movement. So those will be my uppers, triangulated, going from that bushing to a bushing and tab that's going to be here, and one that'll live just about here. So now it's time to do these lowers. I am going to do the lowers out of square tube. and they are going to be 27.5 long. They're going to basically go straight to the axle and be tabbed off the bottom, and I'm going to do those out of square tube because they are going to have the airbag mounted to it and the shock. So let's go cut up some square and start laying out those on the table. Kind of cruising now. This is the 2-inch 250 well square tube that I'm using for the lowers. I cut it with the plasma cutter and notched it. I notched it not super deep, and then I took it over to the Ameribraid and I notched it on the belt sander. So check this out. I got like a little fixture set up over here again. I'm actually going to set these up at 28 inches apart just because that allowed me to use the bolt holes in the fixture. So check that out. We got good fitment. Everything's going to be square to each other. I should be able to bust out some really nice link bars really quick. So I'm going to weld these up and then duplicate it, and then we are going to go figure out how to get this thing cycling here pretty soon. I think I've got 2 more sets of tabs to make. Gonna have tabs to make here, get that all tacked up and stuff, and then we should be cycling it before noon. You don't have to have all these tools like this fixture table and whatnot, but man, it makes it easier. I remember building link bars like this back in the day on a what was it, a Black & Decker Workmate in my parents' garage. I got it done back then, but this stuff here definitely makes it a little bit easier. Dude, we got 3 out of 4 link bars welded up. We're getting after it now. Cool. Love it. You guys ready for this? Check it out. The link is coming together. Triangulated uppers, straight bushings. I've got my lower kind of in place. It's living where it's gonna live. I just gotta make some tabs for here. And then once those tabs are in, we can weld all this stuff up and cycle the suspension, see if it's going to do what I want it to. Stoked. This area here, I triangulated that upper so that it leaves me enough space to put an airbag on the lower link here. So I think all the ducts are in a row. I just got to make some tabs. Let's go cut those out and cycle this thing. Sick. Look at that. Bang. Then someday I'll get back on this bad boy. I hope. This silly car is going to be so much fun, though. I don't know if I want to park it. Got some cardboard out. An old welding helmet box. The whole axle is like, the whole car's suspended off these things, especially since the bags are on the bars. So this tab's got a pretty hard job holding, basically lifting the whole car up with the pressure pulling down on it. So I'm gonna go make these, and then I left a big flat enough spot over here to where I can like add a little square plate to grab more material on the axle and kind of distribute the load a little bit. Let's go cut these out and drill them and tack them on and cycle this thing. All the tabs are coming together. I've got these ones on here now. Just gonna jack this thing up into place. And if my little plates that I welded to square the rear axle up yesterday are all good, then I should be able just to tack those on. This one will go on there. Bars going in, 9 1/8, 9 1/8. That stuff's all good. I can tack that up. Let's weld this thing up enough to cycle it and not have it fall apart. Should be good. I think we're good to cut those plates out and see if this thing works. This came out easy, I guess. Let's see how this thing cycles. Here we go. Going down. Everything looks good. I think it won't ever lift that high, but it'll drop out low enough to change the tire, so that's good. Let's check up. We may have some contact issues here. We may be barely clear. Let's see. We're hitting the floor again. Dang it. Here we go, this is exciting. I went through and cut a little bit more out of the drive shaft tunnel. I cut like a bunch out. So that shouldn't be an issue. Part of the deal with these reverse four links is it does kind of screw up the pinion angle as it gets to the very end of its cycle. So as it comes up, it actually rolls the pinion angle up a little bit. And that's what we were running into a minute ago. But I think we've got the clearance now. Oh yeah. Yep. We are good now. Tires are bottomed in the wheel well. You can hear it kind of, yeah. That's awesome. All right, we've got clearance. All these things are tight, but this thing should lay out. Radical, check it out. This is rad. This is rad. This is why we do this stuff. Let's give it a little, okay, right there. We've got some clearance hitting, tabs hitting on the cross member there. Tabs hitting on the cross member there. Tires absolutely mashed out in the wheel well. And the drive shaft is still clearing the sheet metal up there. So far we have great success. Great success. Yeah! Check out how cool the Mustang is. What? Hammered. Hammered. All kinds of cool stuff going on in there. Hammered. This thing looks tough. It looks so tough. Sick. All right, now it's time to start figuring bag mounts out. Bags are gonna go on the bars and support up to the frame here. So let's start figuring that out. All right, here's the bag that we're gonna use. I've got it kind of collapsed. It's gonna end up riding right there on the link mount or on the link bar. So I'm just trying to figure out bracketry to fit it to the chassis. So I've kind of come up with this. I'm gonna have 2 tabs like this, and then I'm gonna have 2 that are about a 1/4 inch longer, and that will basically allow the bag to sit level at ride height, which is gonna have this bar down a little bit. It'll be a little screwed up when it's full compressed, and it'll be a little screwed up when it's at full droop, but it'll be good at ride height. So I'm gonna go cut 2 like this, and then 2 I'm gonna add probably 3/8 of an inch to it just to give it some angle. We'll get it back over here and start figuring out the rest. I'm also kind of playing around with shocks at the moment and figuring out where they're gonna live. I think they're just gonna have tabs right off the axle here, and then tabs to the chassis. And if all goes well, I can actually use ones that I have that are already pre-made, something like that. So first things first, I'm gonna go cut these guys out. It's drill press time, drill press time. Check it out. I'm getting these brackets made, and this is the plate that's gonna weld to those gusset side plates that you guys saw me making templates of. So I'm just trying to get this to have the right size hole for the airbag fitting. I've got a 3/4 inch hole in it right now. That's not quite big enough, so use this big step bit and see if we can get it to the right size. Hot metal burning my dang arm. That looks good. That's enough of that torture device. All right, let's go weld stuff up. Welding's fun. All right, I got the welder back over here. I got my, try and help me be a better welder glasses on. So the plan here is to take one long one and one short one and build something cool out of it. Here we go. This is the same material that the frame rail is. Put that in there and make sure it's like square to the back of the plate. That looks good. Sick. I'm going to tack this up. Like I've said before, the first one is always easy. Making the second one symmetrical is the hard part. All this stuff is super fun. Making these little boxes and things like that in order for this to mount up. I've been doing this a long time, so it kind of seems redundant to me because I've been building similar stuff since I was like 18. But like the driving these things and getting to be the guy at the gas station that's got the custom car or the cool suspension or whatever, even if it's just like a little different than stock, like something about driving them is more fun to me than building them. I know it looks like all I do is build stuff, but I really enjoy the drive. So these are kind of the last of the little brackets for the bag mount. It's got a little gusset across the front, gusset along the back, and it's like got a couple of little corners knocked out of it so that it won't hold water, basically. So keep double checking that, make sure it's gonna fit good on the chassis. And now I can weld this up and call that bag mount done once I can weld it onto the frame. Little WD-40 so it doesn't get a bunch of splatter. Check those out. Pretty cool. That's my bag mount. And that's gonna go right in there. Sweet. I gotta trim the little sheet metal off on this side. Trim a little bit off of there, and then that's ready to go in. This side's not the same, so it'll go right on in there. Yeah, check that out. That's awesome. So you can see that it's got that angle on it so that it's kind of leaned forward, but that's gonna make it to where when this thing's at ride height, the bag is like perfectly level. So, all good. That was a fun project. Those things came together quick. After a bunch of messing around and trying different shocks and different mounts and all that, I think I've got an idea on what I'm doing here. Basically, I'm gonna try and do this simple tab that's already made. I have a pile of them. I'll notch a little bit more into it so it fits this square tube better. And then down on the bottom, I'm gonna end up using a shock stud that these shocks actually came with. So I'm gonna drill the control arm out, the trailing arm out. I'm gonna push this in, and then I'll end up welding it in place. So that should give us a shock that doesn't like hang down, it doesn't sit up too high, and it'll have, this shock has 5 1/4 inches of travel, which at the wheels, that'll end up making about 7 1/2 inches of travel. So it should lift high enough, and I have these sitting here. I don't have to go and buy something different. So yeah, I could screw around and try and get another inch of lift or something, but this is gonna allow it to lift up high enough to where I can change a tire if I have to, and it shouldn't ever like be so low that it's like dragging on the back here if I don't want it to be. So I'm gonna keep drilling. Who's ready for some gusset work and finish work and tear down and paint? This guy. It's late in the day. I've been hustling, but I didn't film a whole lot. I've been messing with all this stuff, getting the sheet metal kind of tied back together and into the new chassis work. Ended up having to do a bunch of work here trying to get the, just trying to make sure that this chassis that I welded in is tied in with like the structure that used to be part of the old frame rail. So I've got some C-channel here that's like tied in with all these different layers of sheet metal behind it. It's welded in. I've like overlaid over this joint on the frame here, welded the back side of the bag mounts, tied that all in. It's been a ton of work, but it's getting there. I just finished cutting a whole bunch of plates. Basically, these are all to box in these link mounts, so I'm gonna bust those out real quick. Once I get all those plates on, then I can sort out this. This is kind of the big elephant in the room at the minute. Just trying to figure out how to tie those big old brackets into the frame so that they handle all the different stresses, like front to back as well as side to side. So let me get these welded in and then we will move on to that. Check it out, I made these little guys. This is pretty neat. It's gonna go up here and tie into that steel cross member that I welded in, and then come back and box this in. So that should help with some like side to side movement, as well as getting one more like good spot tied into the cross member. And it was kind of fun. Like this is just little 1/8 inch stuff. A lot of times you would like take this and drill it and dimple dye it and make it look all fancy, but we don't have time for that. We're just gonna knock it out. Sick.
What are you doing right now?
Dude, I'm totally nerding out with my old man glasses on. These things are amazing. Have you ever tried seeing? It's just like being 20 years old again. It's great. Welcome back into the Dirthead Shed. It is Monday night and things got a little crazy. I went to work all day and I kind of started freaking out because I didn't have I don't think my fuel tank is gonna show up, so check this out. I ran by the boat store at lunch and I picked up a 12-gallon portable fuel tank. These things, they're pretty handy. You can totally make do with those things in a pinch. And then check this out. All this stuff is like finish welded and ready for paint. I got that done last night, and now I'm in the process of drilling and sleeving these link bars so that when I bolt my airbags to it, the link isn't so weak right there where you have to drill a hole. So sleeving those up, we're gonna get that done. We're gonna get this suspension stuff all painted tonight. It's so much work, so much work. Monday night, I'm supposed to be leaving on Wednesday at some point, and I gotta work tomorrow. So Tuesday night's gonna be gnarly, Wednesday morning's gonna be gnarly, and then hopefully we're peeling out. So I will see all you guys. I don't know, I'm just gonna keep working, and then hopefully I see some of you at the duct tape drags, because that's where I'm going. All right, I got everything ready and in the paint booth, and we're getting the paint gun all set up. Gotta make sure you primer stuff, tape off your bushings. You want this stuff to last, you know? All right, back from work. This is all painted now. It's time to put it together. It's kind of tacky, but whatever. That stuff turned out good. Matt's over here helping, busting out oil change and all that stuff, trying to get some of the maintenance done on it. And I'm going to get this rear suspension put together. It looks good. All right, enough talking, more working. That stuff's all going together. Bolts are in, and Matt is over here cutting off the muffler because that thing's gonna drag on the ground. Okie dokie. We are busting out some quick exhaust on this. That other muffler was hanging way down low, so we chopped it off, and I had this, it's like a 2-inch cherry bomb or resonator. So we're gonna throw that in. It's going under the axle, and then it's gonna end up going out there. So should be pretty cool.
Not as cool as you do.
Matt's super excited.
I'm so stoked.
He's like chomping at the bit to play air guy.
Dude, I got air.
We have like some temporary lines going in, 4-link in, exhaust in. This is going to be the first time we see if this thing is actually going to work. I know the front kind of works because I've driven it around. Air up the back.
It's going, dude, it's going.
There it is. I think that's it. That's like shocks maxed out. Let's get the lift out of here. This is rad. This is what we do this for. We need to air up the front real quick so we can get the lift arms out. Gosh, if the whole rest of the car was as cool as the suspension, you imagine? It'd still be a crappy old Mustang. Mustang II. All right. It's coming off the lift under its own air power suspension. It's kind of weird because I've been doing this since 1996, and every time it's still the coolest thing ever. That's gonna go down quick. Careful with that. Yeah. Oh, it looks so good. Here we go. It's so good. It's so good. Yes. It is hammered. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to... It looks so good. And it's like not even trying. It's just a crappy old car that just looks awesome. Welcome back into the shop. It is chaos around here. I am in the final hours of trying to get this car ready for the duct tape drags. Not really getting it ready for the drags, I'm just getting it ready for the drive down there. So it's 1,500 miles to Tucson from where I'm at, and I need to be there on Friday night. It is Wednesday afternoon right now, so I've got to get a little bit down the road tonight if all goes well, so that the next 2 days I don't have to pull 750-mile days. But check this out. This is an update on where the car is at since you saw it last. I have been going through and getting an air system in here via 444 compressor, a couple of 40 amp relays or circuit breakers, a relay for the pressure switch. So this is basically my whole air system. No air tank, no fancy anything really. And then on the inside here, we've got some of my favorite valves ever made. These are an Airjacks valve called the 4-play, and it's a billet stainless and aluminum manifold valve block. So basically it's 4 manual valves, no electronic solenoids, no fancy anything, super simple. So let's see, where were we? I got the suspension back together, we laid it on the ground, that's all good, and right now I'm in the middle of building a trunk floor for this thing. This is a chunk of 1/8 inch aluminum plate that I had laying around. Again, this is probably something that I picked up on my lunch break from the scrapyard and didn't pay hardly anything for it. I'm sure if I went to go buy it new now, it's probably a fortune, but that is going to go in there as the trunk floor. Breather for the rear axle will go through here, fuel hose will go through there, and then I had to cut these little pockets out for where the shocks poke up through. So let's get this thing in place and check one more thing off my list. I'm tired of working on it. It's time to figure out if this thing still runs. Threw a new fuel filter on up here. I did enough sheet metal work to not have any giant holes coming in, but I didn't do a very good job of actually finishing it. Let's throw some gas in it and hopefully do a little test drive down to the gas station, fill it up the rest of the way. Come on, thing. I'm gonna go drive this thing to the gas station, top it off. I'm gonna hit the road first thing in the morning, that way I'm chasing daylight instead of driving into the dark. These aren't the action shots I was hoping to have right off the bat. I am sitting in traffic, stuck trying to get to the highway. Situation normal. This thing's too low to get a good shot of the lake. Let's see if I can hold the thing over the roof. I look like a kook hanging my GoPro out the window, but what a rad view. Making it into Wallace, Idaho. This actually is one of my favorite towns. When we came through here on Ultimate Adventure in 2012, this little town is probably one of the reasons why I chose to move back up here. It's just a neat little spot, old mining town, a lot of history. It's just awesome. They've got a big car show a couple times a year, and I know it goes off. I have yet to show up for it though. All right, we'll use this for our first gas stop, kind of gauge our miles per gallon, what we're doing. I have no gauge in here, and I really have no idea like what mileage this thing gets, so we'll find out. Is it 6 miles a gallon, or is it getting 20? I don't know. Getting there, it's showing full. So far, so good. That gas stop went well. 19 miles to the gallon. I'll take that as a win. The thing's running good. It wasn't burning a bunch of oil. We're actually at the base of the next big grade. This is Lookout Pass. That'll get us from Idaho and into Montana. So pretty good. We're making miles. A whole lot more to go, but we're clicking them off. Oh, cool. It's raining. I don't have wipers. Well, I technically have wipers, they just don't work. I made it into Montana and I had to stop at my favorite little spot and get some shots of the car. This thing is so rad. Look at that. Such a good little rig. We're about 110 miles in on this trip and it's driving great. I love it. We just made it through Missoula. I'm gonna pull over at this Pilot gas station on the way out of town. I need to wire up like a cigarette lighter outlet so that I can charge my phone and stuff. My camera, my phone, everything's just about dead. I'm gonna pull in here and top off and work on it for a little bit. I'm gonna have a little lunch while I work on this thing. I actually had pulled power already. We got a power wire into the car. I got to dig out my outlet thing that I'm going to install. There we go. It's under the peanut butter next to the fuel filters. Let's install this little buddy. Grab the electrical bag. We'll go over here and set up shop. So I already have a power wire coming in that's hot right now. And we should be able just to connect that to the positive side, and then we'll grab a ground from under here somewhere and be done in no time. All my trail tools are all rusty. These bags end up sitting in the bed of my truck when I'm wheeling or all winter long or whatever. So all these pliers and stuff are always a little grungy. But it seems like they always work for me. This is a permanent trail fix right here. Even though the trail is a I-90 at the moment. Cigarette lighter adapter, boom, blue light. We are good to go. Chasing daylight. It's going surprisingly well. I'm not going to talk anymore about it. It's a beautiful night out. Check it out. The little car has made it like 500 plus miles. We're getting it done. It's pretty nuts. These guys all came out to say hi. I gotta dig up some t-shirts and stickers and all that, and then make space for this spare tire. I think this is like a 79 Audi wheel or something. I'm gonna throw in the back seat just in case I get a flat tomorrow. Sick. Let's go look at your rig. What do you got? Oh, you got a Dirt Everyday sticker on there.
Oh yeah.
And a Hairy Situations.
So it's a 82 Cherokee. It's an old Forest Service rig.
Yeah.
And right before Easter Jeep Safari, we did the 1 ton swap on it.
Thing is bad.
I do a bunch of custom stuff to the front axle. The Super Duty axle, but I had to cut off the ends and flip them to try and move the pinion over.
Oh yeah?
And then sleeve the tube. And
sweet.
got chrome ollies front and rear, lock, front and rear,
Turn.
turn.
Yeah. How do you like those M16 tires? Is that what those ones are? Or those?
These are the Truxas MTs. I got,
oh, okay.
They were the right price.
These are the same ones we ran on the Scout House, but a little bit bigger than the ones we had.
So far they've been pretty good. I mean, they did great in Moab.
Sweet.
They hooked up a little bit too much and I blew up the drive shaft. So.
This thing's cool. Right on. Well, let's dig up some shirts and stuff. That was super cool. It's a good group of people. I was able to give away a pair of glasses, a bunch of t-shirts and stickers. People are stoked, and I even got a spare tire for this thing. Trying to get the air where I want it so it's not too low, and we're gonna hit the road. What a good day. It's like good people. It's nice being able to cruise down the highway in something like this and, you know, make a call out if you have a problem and know that there's somebody looking out for you, you know? I made it to the hotel last night. It was late. It's like after midnight. But look at that. Car's still here. I guess it's Friday morning, about 8 o'clock. I slept in a little more than I should have, but I was exhausted. So, gotta hit the road and try and make it to Tucson today. I'm just south of Salt Lake City right now, so we should be able to do it. It's about the same amount of driving as I did yesterday though, so no screwing around. Let's see, I gotta hook my theft deterrent system back up and we're out of here. Let's go gas this puppy up, hit the road. Chaos. It's just chaos. Everybody's going way faster than me. Everybody's in things that are way bigger. Oh, look at that bird. All right, I gotta pay attention to the road. I'm cruising, I found another old blue car. Check this out. Oh, it's an Impala. Looking good. Thing's rad. Right on. That's cool seeing other people out here. Wonder if they're heading to the duct tape drags too. God, that car's way cooler than mine. Maybe I need an Impala. All right, they're heading down to the duct tape drags too. We're gonna end up taking the same route, so they'll be a little bit ahead of me, which is good. 67 Impala. God, that car is cool. So cool. All right, we'll top off and then we're gonna hit the road again. All right, that car's a pile. It definitely needs a little bit of tuning. Come on, you can do this. Let's see. Maybe it'll clear out a little on the downhill. I can't stop taking pictures. It's so awesome. Like, truthfully, I didn't even think about the route that I was going. I didn't realize that I was going to be doing this same awesome back route that I did earlier in the spring between Zion and Bryce. This is amazing, seeing it with fall color. What a rad drive. Yeah, my car's running kind of crappy, but whatever. Like, this is totally worth it. So cool. Oh my gosh. Dude, if you guys have never been out here and explored Utah, it's amazing. Welcome to Arizona. We did it. We got here. That's pretty wild. Let's go get gas. The sun's kind of going down on another awesome day on the road. I am about 65 miles outside of Phoenix right now, which is pretty amazing. We're cruising along, and I'm gonna swing in and say hi to my buddy Vern before heading all the way into Tucson. What a rad time. I can't believe the places I've driven today. I made it to my buddy Vern's shop.
Dave made it.
I made it here.
His car's very low.
Hang on. Oh, dang, I'm supposed to talk into this. I've been breathing fumes for 1,300 miles. I got like 150 more to go. Vern let me stop and hang out in the shop for a second so I can check oil and stuff. There's Hank Dog. Hi, Hank.
Hank's also a lowrider.
Yeah. So, Vern's got Vern CoFab now on YouTube. He's doing things.
I'm trying.
And back in the old days, he was a magazine dude. And if you were a fan of Dirt Every Day, you would notice that this is the garage where we built mini bikes one time and took them overlanding. And then we also built Cherokees in here. 3 Cherokees, 3 different styles. Mine was the worst. All right, we're gonna hang out with the dogs and we're gonna check some oil, and then I gotta try and get down to the drag strip by like 10 o'clock tonight. I made it to Tucson. That last like 2 hours from Vern's house to here was insane. It was like crazy carbon monoxide poisoning, Not good. Ah, look at that. They're like the same, but different. Such style. So much style in 2 parking spots. I made it to the drag strip. Let's see if they let me in. It's supposed to be on the list.
What list?
I don't know. What's up? No, to go park with Freiburger and his stuff.
Okay, yeah. I haven't gotten that list.
Okay. Check it out. I made it to the beach. I drove this pile from almost Canada to the Mexican border and then came all the way out here to the Pacific Ocean. Look at that. How cool is this? What a beautiful day. Look at that thing. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Dude, what a trip. I don't know if you remember when I did the Will It Run episode on this thing and I drug it out of Jim's yard, but to think that it was going to end up doing this, I never saw that coming. Pretty rad. Pretty freaking rad. Alright, I gotta go gas this thing up and go make some miles. Thanks for watching the Dirt Head Shed. This was a good one.